guys, it's Mallory from Marshall Made Home. I am here with Hometalk tonight. So if you're new, why don't you go ahead and give it a thumbs up so you can subscribe and never miss a live Hometalk video. Tonight we're going to be making a home sign that you can interchange with different wreaths, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm going to just jump right in and get started. So if you are watching right now live, I won't be live right with you, but I'll be live in the comments. And you can ask any questions and give us a shout. Let us know where you're watching from. When I stain the boards, I use regular chalk paint or acrylic paint with a baby wipe just because it does dry a lot faster. It's non-toxic and it doesn't give it that odor that regular stain does. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in. I'm going to start staining my board. We're going to go ahead and paint the letters on with a stencil. If you have a Cricut, this is the perfect project for you guys, but if you don't worry, you can always get a home stencil anywhere, and there'll be a link with all the materials that I'm using. The best place that you can get the reusable home stencils so you can make these as gifts, especially because it is the holiday time. You can order them right on Amazon. It comes in four pieces. It includes the O. I have the O cut out too. I just don't paint the O. I use a wreath for the O. So right now I'm staining my board with a baby wipe and chalk paint. Any brand chalk paint, any brand wipe, doesn't really matter. And I'll show you. You can do any color too. You can paint the board white if you want white, black, gray. You can even stain the board with gray paint. I'm just going through and getting the edges, staining the edges right here. And then I'm going to show you how to put the stencil on. Especially if you have a Cricut machine that you can cut stencils on. This will be great because I'm going to show you how to do that. I am up in New York and it's pretty cold up here. If you guys want to just leave in the comments where you guys are from and where you're watching from. If you have any questions, I'll be right there live in the comments with you. I do paint parties like this with groups of people. So this stain method just works best, especially if you're in a public setting, or if you are at home and you're making these and you just don't want your whole house to smell. This baby wipe method to stain works really good. So that part's all done. It's stained. It looks just like a walnut stain. I'm going to go ahead and take my glove off. It dries super fast, so by now I'm just going to take another baby wipe and just get off any excess paint that may be on there and just kind of give it a good sweep through, just because I do like to see the grains through a little bit better. If you want it more solid, obviously put more paint on there with your baby wipe. If you want to distress it, you can use like a dry chip brush with white paint to distress over it. I'm just going to leave mine stained so it gives it that walnut look, and I'm going to paint the letters white. So my next step is I am going to just, before I put the stencil on, I'm just going to take a little piece of sandpaper or sanding block and just sand over it, just so if there is any just grains of the wood sticking up, we're going to sand those off. And just so you know, you can use any wood for this. This board is just a 1 by 10 by 2 feet. So this is 2 feet long. You can get these at Lowe's. You can even have them cut it for you. Or I found there is a supplier on Amazon that has these boards already pre-cut. They are 6 inches by 22 and they're MDF. I believe they're 6 by 22. That link, it'll be in the link though, with all the materials you're going to need. It'll be right there. So you'll be able to just click on that link and it'll take you right to that Amazon page with all the materials I'm using. And if you don't want to use a wreath, you don't have to. For the O, you can just paint the O on. I just feel like it works a little better because you can interchange these. Like you can just use the regular, this is a lamb's ear wreath for the O. And then at the holiday time, this is more of like a Christmas one. It's got like the little berries and pine cones. You can pop that on there, put a little ribbon in it, and it'll be great. And I like to distress the edges just a little bit. If you can see there, just to give it a little bit of a distressed look. Just what I like. You don't have to do with that though. You can just leave it. And especially right now, it's the holiday time. These are so easy to make, you guys, and you can make it and give it as a gift. And it's a little bit more special, I think, because you made it. So I'm just gonna wipe off my hands because I didn't wear a glove and did get a little on my hands. But I'm just gonna take another baby wipe it again, get any sawdust or anything like that off that maybe the sanding block picked up. So we'll go ahead and wipe that off. It's gonna look just like this. Then we're gonna pop our stencil on there. And this is the part that so many people are really intimidated of, and don't be. It's so easy. I'm gonna show you a little trick too to seal your stencil where you're gonna paint your words so the paint doesn't bleed through. And I do this at all my parties. I show everyone exactly how to do it so it doesn't peel up the paint, it doesn't bleed through. When I do the stencil, this is what my stencil looks like. I know it's a little hard to see, but this is cut from a machine, but you can order a stencil like this on Amazon. That's gonna come in HOME. Like I said, you don't have to paint the O on. But this is just vinyl, so if you have a Cricut machine or a vinyl cutter, you can cut this out. This is just basic font, Times New Roman, nothing fancy. We're gonna go ahead and peel this off. The top two layers, or the top layer is gonna be the transfer tape with the stencil. So what I do is I flip mine over and then I peel back at a corner. So when you have, I'm gonna throw that out. When you have your stencil, it's still gonna look like this, but the back's gonna be sticky. This is just the transfer paper on the top, and I'll show you how to take that off. So we're just gonna go ahead and place that right on our board. Just like so. I don't measure out, I just kind of eyeball it. If you're a perfectionist though, you can use a ruler if you want to make sure your letters are so many inches from the top and so many inches from the bottom. I don't though, I just kind of eyeball it. Place it on there. I'm just gonna take one of these little plastic squeegees. You can use a credit card. If you do get the stencil from Amazon though, you just place those right on there. You don't even have to do any of this. It's a step that you can cut right out. And then this is just, you know, kind of sticking the stencil on there. Doesn't have to be perfect, because we're gonna peel that transfer tape off and we're gonna seal the letter so that paint doesn't bleed through anything. So let me just see here. All right, so I just, like again, I said I always start at a corner and peel down or peel back at an angle. If you notice that your stencil comes up a little with your transfer paper, don't worry about it, just push it back down with your finger. Like this right here, the M's coming up, I just pop that right back down. And it'll be fine because we're gonna glue this down a little bit so the paint doesn't bleed through when we paint our letters. So it looks a little messy right now, guys, but don't worry, it won't look like this when we peel the stencil off after we've painted the letters on. And the center of the O is coming up. I'm not gonna paint the O on because I'm gonna put my wreath there, and I always interchange them for seasons, so I'm not even gonna bother painting the O on. So if you don't want to, you don't have to. And then I'm just kind of pressing any areas of that down that may have just kind of come up a little. So when your stencil's on, it's gonna look like this. That's not what it's gonna look like when you're all done, I promise. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use a little bit of glue to seal our words so paint doesn't bleed through, and I'll show you. You just take a little paintbrush or a little sponge. You can go ahead and dip it in the glue, and then you're only gonna paint that where you're gonna paint the paint. So I'm just a nice light layer of the glue, dusting over the letters that I wanna paint. So it's gonna look just like, and it's gonna be clear and it's gonna dry really fast, then we're gonna paint. So we're gonna go ahead and paint this on there. If you guys are just hopping on, I'm Mallory, I'm over here at Marshall Made Home. I'm just showing you guys how to make a home sign so you can interchange the wreaths out for seasons, holidays, and this would be a really good gift, I think, for Christmas for someone. So if you make this, it would be really good to give to someone. And if you are in the comments. I'll be in the comments live with you to answer any questions, so feel free to comment and let me know where you're watching from. If you guys have any questions about any materials I'm using, where to get paints, anything like that, there'll be a link with all the materials in it. Or if you just have any questions about what I'm doing or anything like that, you can go ahead and leave it in the comments and I'll be answering any questions in the comments live with you guys. Okay, so our sealer's on, which is the glue. It's gonna look just like that. It's clear, it's gonna dry, and now we're gonna paint our letters. So, I'm just gonna get that out of the way. I'm just gonna use the same little plate. I'm gonna do my letters white and give it a little distressed look when we're done. So, go ahead and put your paint on a plate. I kind of want my letters to look a little distressed. I kind of want this to be a little distressed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a chip brush and give it a dry brushed look, so the letters are going to look, you know, not perfectly solid white. And I'll show you what it's going to look like when we're all done, when we peel that stencil off. So you can start painting side to side, up and down, it doesn't matter. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, because if you're doing like this distress look especially, don't worry about anything being perfect, because the more imperfect it is, I feel like the better it ends up looking. That's just my opinion. I like things that look old and look chippy. So I'm just using some white chalk paint and I'm painting over this stencil so we can peel the stencil off, and it's gonna show us just the letters. And you know what I did? I went ahead and I painted the O anyway. Didn't even realize I was doing it. So it's okay because my wreath will cover it. But sometimes I don't paint the O on there, especially if it's for a sign that somebody only wants the wreath as the O. And if you guys want to go ahead and comment, let me know where you all are watching from. I'm up here in upstate New York. It is pretty cold up here today. So you guys that are down south, or I know Arizona, I have a few friends on Instagram that are down there. It was pretty rainy, but you guys that are down there and it's really nice and sunny still, I am very jealous of you guys. Okay, so here's what we're looking like right now. It's gonna look all white because the stencil is white and the letters that I'm painted are white as well. I don't wait for the paint to dry to peel the stencil up. You can if you don't want your fingers to get all paint. I don't really care. So, I mean, as long as it's not like dripping paint, but you don't want your paint to be on there where it's dripping, because it's not gonna be a really good look. It's not. You want it to be light layers, especially if you want if you want your letters to be solid white and no distressed look to them. You can use like a little makeup sponge and apply it on there and do light layers, and just go over it really lightly a couple times to make it solid. You don't want a heavy coat. So mine isn't that wet. This chalk paint dries really fast. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start to peel my stencil up. And I'm just careful that I don't let it go and the paint gets all over, but like right there it did. But I'm just gonna take a wipe and I'll wipe it right off. That can go there. Just take a little wipe. See a little paint splattered down there because I didn't wait. But if you're home, you've got the time to wait. I just don't want to keep you guys on here waiting for the paint to dry. I mean, come on, how boring would that be? You're just sitting here waiting for me, watching paint dry, literally. I have a little pick. It's just a little vinyl pick. I'm going to pick out the center of this O because I did end up painting it on accident, which is fine. We'll just peel that up there. And again, if you don't have a Cricut machine or a vinyl cutter and you're not going to be able to use vinyl as the stencil, any stencil works just fine. And you know what, I even done in the past, I've used those 3D cutout letters. If they're cut out from wood, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them from Hobby Lobby. Sometimes you can get them at the dollar store. Just get the H, you don't even have to get the O. You can get the M and then you can get the E. That way you can interchange the O with the wreaths. And it gives it a little dimension because the letters are 3D. And I did make a sign before where the letters, like one is a metal letter, one is a wood letter. That looks really cool too. So you can even do that. Okay, I'm just peeling up the vinyl now so we can reveal our letters. It is a little wet still. So, I'm just trying to be really careful because it is a little wet and I'm getting paint where I don't want it. So let's just be very careful. But if you're at home, obviously take your time. You don't have to peel it up so fast. These little areas up here, I'll just kind of wipe down because I got a little paint up here, but we'll just wipe it off. If the paint is still wet and you get it where you don't want it to be, like outside the stencil, just take a little baby wipe. It works fine. Or you can even just take the paint that you painted your sign and touch it up. And that's what I might do because this area, I think it dried a little too quick. So I'm just gonna take my paint. This is just brown chalk paint. I'm just gonna dip it in one of these little makeup sponges and just dab it in there. And I don't really care if my hands get paint on them, so I'm just using my finger to just kind of get it into the grain so it doesn't look too different. And here's how we're looking so far, guys. Wait till we put that wreath on it's gonna look even better. I got a little paint up here too. I'm just gonna kind of wipe off if I can. You know what looks even cool too? If you paint your board, if you stain your board, I mean, this color, and then you give it a dry brush, the whole entire board with white, then distress the white, it gives it that chippy look, then you paint your letters on black, that's even a really, really good look too. I've done that a few times. I just wanted to go with something a little more simple and neutral just to show you guys what it's gonna look like, how to do it really easy in just a few steps. So it's only a few steps. You're painting your board, you're using a stencil to paint your letters. You can even handwrite them if you have good handwriting. I don't, so I'm not ever handwriting or hand painting them. I always use a stencil. And then you're just placing on that wreath and it's just gonna make it look really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a little hook on there for my wreath. I think it's in here. Here it is. Yeah, I hope I got it. These are just little hooks. They literally are just these little hooks that you could just screw in. You don't even have to use a hook either. If you don't have them and you don't want to buy them, you can just staple it on there, use a little piece of Velcro. That works really good too. This is pretty dry for the most part. Some areas are a little wet. And I'm just gonna fan it out a little so when I place my wreath on there, it's not a big mess. So I'm just gonna kind of push this in there, get it to stay, hopefully. These can be a little stubborn, especially because I didn't pre-drill a hole. But you shouldn't really have to with these, I feel. Let's see here. Oh, get a better angle. Just give it a little more pressure, maybe. I promise I'm making it harder than it really is. Let's see. Maybe I can just pick out like a little center for this. And let's see if that works any better. I usually pre-drill a hole sometimes, especially if I'm doing these at an event. I might even staple the wreath on. If they don't want it interchanged. I just feel like these hooks are always your best option. We're almost in. Huh, it is not staying for some reason. Let's try another one. Maybe the end of that one's a little dull. well. Anyway, this normally goes in a lot better. Like I said, with a pre-drilled hole. I didn't pre-drill a hole. And it's not staying for some reason. Will you grab me my drill? This is though what it's going to look like when I put that little hook on. You can have that as the O, but we're going to be able to interchange them. And if I can get my drill, maybe I'll try to pop it in. If not, this little pick might work. I think I got it. Just when I got the drill, I don't need it. But like I said, if you do have a drill, if not, like you're really not supposed to have to pre-drill these. I don't even have my hammer with me, but you can even tap it in a little bit to get it started. But here's the hook on the O. That way you're going to be able to interchange these. So it's going to look like that. You can even, this could be fluffed out more. I even have like a little Christmas wreath with me that you can pop on there to make it look good too. And there we go. That's what it looks like with the Christmas wreath. So there it is. So fast, so easy, just a few steps, a few materials. This would make a really good gift. And if you guys are not already subscribed, you can download the app for Hometalk. Leave your email, that way you guys never miss a video, and please give us a thumbs up and a share. Make sure you give us a share and just tell us how you think this project went. And as always, when you make these, post your pictures in the comments. I love to see what the afters look like. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.